I have to say, who went to the concert yesterday? Who partied like crazy and absolutely went wild and have a lot of fun? Now my question is, do you guys want to maybe get a little bit of a peek behind the scenes as to how some of your favorite musicians from the concert yesterday have made those songs happen? Yes. Well then, without any further delay, let's get started with our musicians. To include this wonderful person that just hides behind the door right here, Deus. Prince whatever. Everybody's favorite homeboy, Mr. MC Arch. The very, very bombastic and exciting Blackened Blue. And I know that we all really wub each other and bring in those wubs, Iggy Black Ice music. And one of our very few secret special guests here, who has worked with a ton of the musicians that we have up here. Jamin, come on out. Ooh, who else do we have back here? Someone who has a very operetta voice, Miss Velvet R. Winks. And her amazing pianist, Maine in Green. And last but certainly not least, our other very special secret guest, Miss AJ Bridal. All right. Awesome. So the format of this will just basically be, it will be a Q&A session. So we'll be queuing up right down here. We will have a volunteer here to screen your questions as always. We just like to remind you again, with the Q&A questions, please use common sense. And there are a lot of things that these musicians can't really maybe talk about because of either non-disclosure agreements or it may be projects that they must keep quiet about, but nevertheless, again, queuing up down here on the side to ask your questions. In the meantime, I will allow the musicians again to reintroduce themselves and tell themselves a little bit about themselves. And for the fun question, I would say, if there is one person, alive or dead, that you wish you could collaborate with, who would it be and why?
Starting with me?
Yes.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah. Well, listen, I'm AJ Bridal, and I voice Pit Pedals, and I've probably been a part of 30-plus songs in the My Little Pony universe at this point. Yeah. Probably less than half of which have probably been available to stream at this point. So there's lots of music to come, and it's good stuff. And the person I would collaborate with, probably Whitney Houston, just because it's Whitney Houston, you know?
Is it on already? Yeah. Test. Okay, yeah. Hi, I'm Black Ice Music. I produce electronic music, mostly Melbourne bounce and future bounce, with the occasional house and psytrance sometimes. Yeah, I've been producing since like 2014. I started with dubstep, like most producers back then, and I then found out that I like the other genres more. And I think the The person I would collaborate with is my personal idol, which is Dirty Palm. A lot of my tracks are based on his music, and it would be great to collab with him, but it's a very big musician, so it would be pretty hard to get him.
I am Jalman. I make usually also electronic music with Iggy and all the others here as well. Made a very nice tune with you. Made a nice tune with you too. I'm mostly in the drum and bass, upbeat tempo, UK hardcore, stuff like that. But also sometimes a bit more down to the house level. If there would be any artist I could collab with, it would definitely be Stonebank, because he's my definitely my idol. The way he does his things is just, I love it. And if it would be in the fandom, I think it would be Black Griffin, because his voice is fucking amazing.
How we doing, PonyCon Holland? Pleasure to meet y'all again, man. My name is MC Arch. I'm a rap hip-hop artist from The Hague, you know, representing. And it's a great to once again share the stage with all these amazing musicians, man. You guys rock, legit. It's good to be back, you know. And my dream collab would probably perhaps be, well, obviously, you know, Freddie Mercury. Yeah, or Elton John. That would be epic as well. That's yeah. There you go.
Is this thing on? Oh, hi. I'm Blacken, and my music can be best summed up in one word.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you can tell, I make metal music, and I would love to do an album with Linkin Park. I know that's probably never going to happen, but it's a dream of mine. Amazing group of musicians, you know.
Yeah.
Hello there. My name is Theos, and I am like bassist since last 3 years, I think. I started 3 years ago because I was bored. And that's the extent for this story. Yeah, touring around Europe, playing with this guy who also was always my favorite musician, so my dream came true already because I make music with him and perform it. Shut up.
Boo this man. Nice, thank you. I'm Prince Whatever, UK musician. I play mostly metal and kind of emo music. Yeah, some guy, don't worry about it. If I could collab with anyone, probably one of the like the older 2000s emo bands, like, you know, My Chemical Romance or Fall Out Boy, maybe Green Day, something like that. I love them so much. But yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Menin Green, and well, I started creating Pony music in 2016. I started doing some very shitty remixes of songs from the MLP Friendship is Magic, and then I turned into making orchestral music, and I've been featured in many Ponyzadone albums, and I collab a lot with Velvet Airwings, and these last 3 years I've been pretty silent in the community, but I'm coming back soon with a new album, hopefully for 2024, and I plan to perform in future conventions, so yeah, stay tuned, and thank you.
And what's your dream collab? Who you want to collab with?
My dream collab, it's hard to tell.
Alive or dead?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe with a real orchestra would be amazing. I don't know. Or with everybody.
Hello, I'm Velvet Wings. I'm a singer, harpist, I'm actress. You know me mostly for my opera voice. and some, I don't know, maybe some harp playing. Maybe. So yeah, I've been in the community since 2014. Secretly been there since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And who I want to collab with, I think probably everyone on the stage, and some other persons who already know who they are.
Mm.
So we're going to focus on you, AJ Bryan, a little bit due to time constraints.
Yes.
Sadly,
But
but
to get to the signing table in
yes.
20 minutes or so.
So, as the voice of Pip, what are some of the challenges to come with both voice acting and also singing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some of the challenges. Like when I'm singing. What do you mean? Specify the question a little bit more for me.
I would say like how do you approach voice acting, and then how do you approach singing?
Recording.
Yes, and then both having to, for say, keep it in character with Pip.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great question, because a lot of the time when I'm recording a song, we do multiple takes throughout the record session, some of which are like harmonies and things like that, where I'm not focusing on the character of Pip at all. We're thinking about the general sound of the song. And then there are takes that they'll say, okay, can we have a more character type? Can you sing it like Pip? And most of the songs that you'll hear from G5 that I'm on, are not as much charactery as they are just, we're looking to create pop songs, things that you can enjoy on a car ride, and things that you can enjoy in the shower, like things, songs that don't feel as much like like cartoony. I guess a little bit less charactery with like pops here and there, a little bits here and there, but it's important that when you're listening, if you're a fan of the show, you know which character is singing the song and what their perspective is. But it's a weird balance between creating pop music that anybody and everybody can enjoy at any point in time, and paying respect to the My Little Pony world as well.
How easy or difficult? How easy or difficult can those vocal directions be?
They're difficult. It's hard stuff. Like it takes a very specific set of skills to be able to do it, and especially the amount of time that is allotted for it. So most of the songs that you hear that I have recorded for G5, I only had 2 to 3 hour sessions. So all the vocals that you hear were recorded in 2 to 3 hours, which is not a lot of time. So it is really, you have to come in very prepared and very ready to kind of go with the flow. But our team puts a lot of work into the development of these songs, so that by the time I'm in the booth and have a microphone in front of me, I have everything that I need to be as efficient as possible. But if you've listened to any of the songs from G5, you know that we're all over the map stylistically. Right? So that's hard to do, to kind of switch back and forth if we're recording multiple songs in a day. But this is what I do. That is like my specific trick. Like as an actor, as a voice actor, I'm a singer first. I love singing, always have. So that is kind of much like Pip. That is kind of my special trick, that I'm able to be as efficient as I am in that specific world. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned vocal prep and everything like that. And I'm also going to extend it off to the rest of the musicians here as well, for the singers and stuff. How do you guys go about preparing yourselves to perform, or in your case, go into the studio and sing and voice act?
Warm up. Warm up and drink a ton of water before, like hours before, drink a ton of water. You want to make sure you've been hydrated for like a day before you show up. And then always have some lemon. I always like to have like a tea, like a lemon, honey, warm, soothing situation with me. But ultimately, this is a muscle, and there are lots of tips and tricks that you can ask. You can take vocal lessons and learn how to properly support your vocal cords while you're singing. But ultimately, this is an instrument that will get tired eventually. So just be aware of that and stop when it hurts. Anybody else?
He wants me to answer, but I don't sing, so.
Yeah.
You can extend it to basically how do you prepare yourself for sets?
I prepare myself to sets. Well, for DJ sets, I pick out a lot of songs that I personally like and I know people will like, and that also fit to my own songs, and then I also put in my own music with that. And then I experiment with my DJ controller what fits together well, but also it's DJing, so DJing can be done on the fly, so sometimes you need to cut stuff out or something, and you can't always prepare for everything, so sometimes you need to improvise. And but yeah, if I prepare my set, it's definitely easier to do the set and to interact with people. That's why I do it. So yeah.
Okay, so my answer is going to be a bit more complex, but I will say, especially to all the musicians out there who are in the crowd, listen, we used to be where you are right now. You can do this too, legit. Just when you prepare for something, don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fight for your dreams, man. Just go for it. Just go for it. Don't, the best advice I can give you is don't be afraid to fail as well. Because if you fail, the next time you'll feel better, you'll feel better, you'll feel better, and from that, you're gonna continue growing. And yeah, it's that's what I want to say to you. You can do this too, legit.
Vodka. Lots and lots of water. Sorry, I got a bit confused there. Seriously though, drink water, but don't go too heavy with it. Just have like a couple sips when you're doing between takes, because you want to lubricate your throat, but you don't want to fill up too much. But yeah, warm-ups are also important. Can't go too heavy with those though. Usually I just put on my favorite song and try and warm up to that before I actually start recording. Simple stuff for you.
I don't know. I am not a vocalist, I'm just instrumentalist. What I do is like to just learn the songs. Usually, like when I started out playing, I got 1 month to learn 12 songs, which is kind of a lot. I was nervous, which is okay. You, like Arch already said, don't be afraid of making mistakes, because we are all just humans. And yeah, warm up is important, and I guess it's pretty straightforward for me, at least, the process.
Hello. Yeah, I have a very specific routine when I warm up. Like AJ said, you want to drink a lot of water. How long before you perform do you drink?
The night before I record, I am drinking, because your hydration period starts hours and hours before, right? So how much water? I mean, we all know, we've all had, well, not we've all, but a lot of us have drank too much, and the next day you're dehydrated, right? You're not dehydrated in that moment while you're drinking. You're dehydrated later, yes? The effect that will have on your body. So in the interim, you want to drink water a lot the day before, and as you go. But if you want to hydrate your body, it should be like a day, maybe even 2 days beforehand.
Yeah, hydration is key.
Yeah.
And also, I made a big mistake once where I ate like a double XL pizza right before I went on stage. Very bad idea. The grease is awful for your throat, and the more you fill up your stomach, the less space your diaphragm has to like move your lungs and get your air moving. Yeah. So that's an awful idea. Don't eat before you perform. And
eat a little bit though. Like, don't be starving.
Yeah, don't be empty.
That's why you pass out.
Yeah, I've heard of singers who will swear off dairy for a week before a big performance. That's because it's awful for your throat. And oh, there was something else I forgot. Yeah, warming up with a song you like, but again, don't overdo it. Don't wear yourself out before you perform. Yeah. you're doing it for the performance. You don't want to ruin yourself before you actually get there, you know? Yeah.
Well, for me, it was complicated because I've been playing a lot of classical music before composing, and in classical music, there is constant pressure, stress for exams, contests, and stuff like this. And it was a lot. I mean, it's where I learned all the things to not do before performing, like overthinking the music I am going to perform, or trying to play over and over again the same pieces, like 5 minutes before going on stage and stuff like that. So now, well, actually, the best thing I have is just I just make sure that, well, as a pianist, I take care of my hands. Obviously, I just make sure that my fingers and hands are just feeling well and relaxed, and also I just the day of the performance, I usually like to just play through all the pieces I need to perform in the morning, no matter if there is mistakes or not, and then just not think of the music at all until the performance, so to get relaxed when I arrive on stage. Yeah. So, yeah.
Just very sorry. Just real quick.
Continue.
Okay, I'll be short. Well, there are two aspects to get ready for performing, for recording, and the first aspect is physical, and everyone has already mentioned this, but I will add one thing: don't eat nuts before recording. Just don't. And also, like, have a meal an hour before. That's it. But like every song that I do is a little performance of its own, so I need to know the character I'm getting into. Yeah, so what is it? Who is it? What are they thinking? Like, why are they singing this song? So, yeah, I think that's all.
Unfortunately, again, due to time constraints, we will unfortunately have to say goodbye to AJ Bridal here.
Thank you all for, I'm sorry I only had a few minutes to say hi because I've got to go sign some things, come visit me if you'd like. And I really wish that I could stay and hear what all of you have to say because you're all awesome. And sing for fun, create music for fun, first and foremost, okay? We can talk about don't drink milk and all this stuff, which is all absolutely valid. We could talk about it forever, but the most important thing is it's music and it's art and it's fun. And if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong, okay? So just smile and rock on. Okay, bye!
All right, continuing on, let's go ahead and get a little technical talk going right here. Specifically, introduce exactly what sort of music platforms that you use, or any sort of virtual instruments that you recommend, and so
you mean like the platform used to make music, not like
yes,
not like iTunes or something, like
yes,
a streaming platform. Okay.
Yes. So in a nutshell, what musical software do you use to make your music, and do you have any specific plugins that you really lean heavily into?
The other musicians are gonna scream at me again because I use FL Studio 11, which is a 10-year-old software, and I don't want to update to the newest FL Studio because, well, I have some reasons, but I don't want to go too much into detail. But yeah, I like FL Studio 11 because it works for me. I know the software, how it works. I don't want to switch to a newer version which has like tons of different things. I mean, it's similar still, but yeah. And for plugins, I think most people here might not know the plugins that I use, but there's a plugin called Silence that I use a lot. It's a pretty old one. It's used a lot in like festival music and stuff. and then Spire, which is similar. And for basses, I use Serum, and I think that's pretty popular. And for general distortion and stuff, I actually use the FL Studio Wave Shaper. It's one of my favorite plugins. It's just a curve that you drag up, and then the bass sounds way fuller and more saturated. So, yeah, that's the stuff I use. Yeah, and for DJing, I used to use Serato, and I switched over to Rekordbox last week. That's also why I haven't been much at the con, because I was in my hotel room fixing the software and getting used to it. Yeah, but it's a good software once you know how to use it.
I use the updated version of FL21, but mostly I'm used the same plugins as Iggy uses. I use Silent One for my leads, Spire for pads, and Serum for bass lines. Serum is super tight, while Spire and Silent are a little more dirty, which makes it very easy for the low end to work with Serum, and a lot better for the leads to sound more natural with Silent and Spire. And I use FabFilter for my mastering and mixing plugins, mostly, and some plugins on the side as well. For monitoring, I use something AB, an AB filter. It's very good to use for monitoring. For the stereo width, for referencing other tracks, which I also highly recommend, by the way. And yeah, that's about it for FL Studio. I've been trying to get into DJing. I have Serato, but I haven't really quite figured out everything before I can really perform. So there's that.
Well, on the technical side, to be honest, don't really have much to tell, but I can, however, make a very good microphone recommendation. You see, I use FL20, and I use the Rode MNA1 microphone. I really could recommend that. It's very clean for like if you're doing rap vocals or like voice acting or just singing overall. You know, that's yeah, that's it.
Okay, so I record my music in this DAW called Reaper, which is coded by the same people that coded Winamp back in the day. So in that case, it's shareware. It's really versatile. It does a lot of great things. My favorite amp sim of choice is 1111 by Otto Audio. It gives this really crunchy guitar tone. An amp sim is basically like a simulated guitar amplifier, so you could plug into an interface and you've got the guitar tone that you're looking for. For drums, I use this software called Get Good Drums. It is made by Nolly, who used to be in the band Periphery. There's a lot of really good packs out there. The one I use is called Invasion. It sounds really crunchy, especially when you compress it. What else do I use? Oh yeah, I also like to use FabFilter plugins. They do EQ, compression, limiting, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that they bring out that's great for production. If any producers out there want to try them, I definitely recommend it.
You're going to hear a lot of the same stuff. I also use Reaper. It is my favorite DAW. I've used a bunch. I've used a bunch of different ones in college, like Cubase, Pro Tools, Ableton. Definitely prefer, Logic. I did like Logic, though, to be fair. Reaper is the best, though, for me. And I also use FabFilter plugins. Their EQ is the best EQ on earth, I think. It is so versatile and incredibly lightweight. I use it on my laptop when playing live. There's no delay. It just works. It does everything great. And for guitar, I actually don't use plugins. I still use a real amp. It's a Joyo Zombie. It is really small, and it sounds incredible. I would definitely recommend it if you like a heavy metal guitar tone. Yes, thank you.
Well, for producing, I use mostly FL Studio, mostly because it was the first interface, the first program I could get my hands on when I started playing with it more than 10 years ago. And I use, for orchestral instruments, I use BBC Symphony Orchestra from Spitfire Audio that has amazing strings, especially, and woodwinds. But I also still use some libraries from East West. Well, for the orchestral sounds, it's not in my opinion, it's not the best sounding libraries, but it also has some nice. I also use it for sound design effects, and for it has also some very nice traditional folk instruments. But yeah, and in the future, actually, I'm planning to switch to Cubase and to try libraries from Native Instruments when I have the money for it. And yeah, and for recording, I use mostly a pair of Rode microphones, directional ones. Which is, in my opinion, just great to record literally anything. I can record piano, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, anything. And also for vocals, also Rode microphones are great. And I think that's it.
Okay, so I think I'm not as relevant as these guys because I use like software only for recording, but I used Cubase 5 until last year, and last year I switched to Logic Pro. And well, I cannot say anything good or bad about both of them. It's just it is what it is. And for the microphones, I just borrow hers. Yeah, that's it.
So we were talking with AJ Bridle here a little bit about definitely the challenges of being in the studio and vocal direction. And I want to extend that question to you all. What are some of the challenges that you guys have in the studio when it comes to making and creating your music?
Yeah, I have no time to think. I think the biggest problem for me is motivation and perfectionism. Perfectionism can be really good, but it can also be a curse. Because I start a track and it sounds good, then when it sounds good, I have enough motivation to continue it. But if it sounds bad, I'm like, this sounds bad. I can't do anything about it, and I'll just stop producing and I'll put it away and never touch it again. And then I'll do nothing for a week or something, and it's a big problem that I have, especially recently, but yeah, it helps to get some motivation, I guess, by listening to other music and watching tutorials sometimes helps. And then another challenge is I really like recreating other artists' styles, and it's really hard to sometimes get the sound that they make, especially with my perfectionism. I'm like, yeah, I want to sound like them, but I can't do it like them, and it sounds similar but not exactly the same, which I guess would be my style, but in my mind I tell myself, yeah, it's not good enough. So that's my biggest problem, and I hope I can get it fixed someday.
The biggest issue for me, the biggest struggle in the studio would be, well, inspiration to start with. I used to be able to pump out melodies all the time, and since I've learned more and more about music, I was less and less good at making good melodies, which is super interesting, I think, which is why I would say if you're starting out, save all your melodies as MIDI, because you can probably use it in the future. But the struggles I'm also running into is I have a 3-year-old track, for example, and I love it. It's basically finished, but I keep redoing the mix and the master because I learn new things and I overdo it. That's the biggest issue. It doesn't get very natural anymore. I pull out too many peaks with the equalizer. with the frequencies that I don't like, I pull them out, and then I listen to it back a few days later, and I'm like, why the hell did I pull all this shit out? Because now it sounds so thin. And that's kind of an issue as well, when you need to give your ears rest to be able to get to it. Yeah, basically, if you have a too long of a session, you will probably make mistakes that you will have to fix on a later date, and at that point you can just keep on going and going. But at some point you really need to call it quits and say, okay, it's done, and get it out of the door, even if you're not happy with it. You can always do a remaster afterwards, I guess, or a VIP. But yeah. Once you need to move on from projects as well, and it's sometimes hard to get to let loose. That's my suggestion to everybody who's making tunes. Send them out. Eventually you'll get better, and you'll get the tracks that you want.
Nice one. All right. Well, I guess my answer it's kind of similar to singing and voice acting at the same time. I cannot stress it enough, guys. Breath control. Seriously, breath control. Because listen, I know it's awesome to sound like super, like go super saiyan behind the microphone. It's awesome, But, if you feel like your voice is kind of starting to crackle up and everything, stop. Okay, it sounds beautiful, but it's not worth it, because you want to do it again, and again and again. And when it comes to your voice, quality over quantity, legit. Yeah, that's all I had to say.
Okay, so when it comes to mixing, I find that taking breaks can really help me make a mix sound decent, because obviously when you're spending a lot of time learning how to mix, and you're trying to mix a song, eventually you might become a victim to something called ear fatigue. So like when you're mixing a song, if you're working on it for too long, you might come back to it a few days later and think, wow, did it really sound this bad when I was making it? You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you get it to a point where you're reasonably satisfied with it. Don't spend too much time tweaking knobs. Just learn when a project needs to be finished, because done is better than perfect.
Well, Nugget, can you repeat the question exactly again, please? Because I think I've kind of forgotten the point. Like
Sorry. What are some of the challenges for recording or being in the studio for you?
Gotcha. Okay. Main one for me is the neighbors. I live in a house, and my bedroom/studio is directly into, I think it's one of their bedrooms. I hear a baby crying a lot, so I feel bad when I'm screaming in my bedroom, and the baby can definitely hear me. And, yeah, it feels awful. But you got to do it. It's kind of my job now. I can't not do it. So I feel awful, but I have to. Apart from that, though, it's to piggyback off of that. It's knowing that people can hear you when you're new, or when you're not warmed, or you have to warm up. So people are going to hear you singing badly for a while because you're not ready yet, and it kills your confidence, because you need confidence to sing well. If you don't have confidence, then you probably won't sound that great. You need to give it some beans, But yeah, that's my biggest problem.
Well, thankfully, I don't have any neighbor problems, since I live in a very old house with very thick walls, so no one hear anything. For me, the biggest problem, I think, is to be able to finish a track, for two reasons. First, perfectionism, and also the fact that to work on a certain track, I need to be in the exact right mood for it. So so it makes it difficult to work on a track on a regular basis. So most of the time I start a lot of things, but I never finish them. And when I decide to finish them, it's like sometimes there can be like a year or 2 years in between, and I also realize my perfectionism also tells me that you started this track 2 years ago. At that time you sucked at composing or at doing certain things, so I need to redo it all over again. So yeah, I think that's my biggest struggle.
Well, for me, the biggest challenge is finding the balance between perfectionism and the limits of having a physical body. Because, like, I have quite some health problems that sadly are related to vocals too. So I have a very limited time of sounding. So yeah, either I have to be relatively quick and get it done rather than get it perfect, or I have to make a lot of breaks in between, which affects my self-esteem a little bit, to be honest. But well, it is what it is.
I want to go back here to what Arch specifically said here, and one thing I love about you, man, is that you try to inspire others to definitely pick up music, and I personally also absolutely agree, and would extend it to everybody within the audience here to really just do it. Really just pick up any of the software that these people recommend, and really just have fun. Really get into the craziness and the madness of creating music and everything like that. So my question to you guys is, especially for people who are just starting out, what are y'all's biggest tips to any newcomer?
I would say my biggest tip for any newcomer is that you shouldn't stress out at the start. Like, I know a lot of people that get into music and they're like, it sounds so bad and I want to sound way better. And in my opinion, just finish something. It's better than overstressing it. And if you finish something, you have something to people to show, and then you can ask for feedback from other musicians. They're always happy to help you, and then you can improve. So don't overstress it. Yeah.
This might come out weird, but don't trust your friends. They will not give good feedback. It's quite funny because they always want to be nice and they always are proud of what you do. But it will not help you improve what you do unless they really know what they're doing. That's definitely a tip I can give. And be proud of what you made. That's just, it doesn't matter if it sounds like crap. If you will find it out probably in a few years, like, damn, did I really do that? Why does that sound so bad? I thought it sounded so much better when I made it back then. But be proud of it either way. It's awesome. And to see the progress of yourself, that's so good to see. And another thing I wanted to say, which is something completely different, is don't hesitate on using any DAW, no matter what anybody else says. And it's like how much trash I might talk about Disableton. Use it. It's good for you. There is Studio One, Reaper, Cubase. It doesn't matter. FL, whatever you work best with. FL is an extension of myself. It's a quote from Martin Garrix. But it truly is for me. But I know for Ableton is really good for other people. It really works with somebody else's workflow. For me, it's just a creative outlet, and it doesn't matter what program you use. You'll get there.
All right, I'll tell you something right now, PonyCon Holland. We're getting ready for this one. Listen up very, very closely, okay? Music is what feelings sound like. That's literally what music is. Listen, listen. If you have an idea, if you have a dream, you want to make a project out of it, and you face opposition to that, you trust me, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. You are making the difference that you want to be making, you know? So if there's one thing I can tell you right here, right now, as I said before, all these people right here, all these amazing people, we used to be just like you, sitting right here. You can do this too. Just believe in yourself. Don't give up on your dream. Fight for what you love. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to care. Just go for it.
Okay, so when you're starting out and you're putting out tracks, you do not want to stress out too much about the quality of a song, at least when you're starting out. Because if you want to generate an audience, the worst thing you can do is just continually hype up your debut single. You don't want to be that person that's like, I'm working on my debut single, it's been in the works for the last 2 years. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is put out a track and then generate your audience that way. Because it might not be perfect when you're starting out. There's no such thing as a perfect musician. But it'll get people interested in your music. They'll hear the composition and they might look forward to what you put out next.
I would like to walk a few steps back from creating music to learning instruments, because this is the thing that I probably have the most to say about it. Just if you are interested in doing it, just pick it up, do it. Actually, there are really not that many physical reasons why you can't do anything. Everything is like, you can learn everything if you set your mind to it. And first and foremost, do it for yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. It's really futile. Also, everyone learns differently. There is not, I don't believe in talent. I think talent is an insult because it kind of discredits the work that people put into learning something. There is, maybe you are more prone or you have like some advantages. I have a friend who has like a split here in his like, born with like, he can split his fingers like wider, so he can play better guitar because he's like wider range. But other than that, yeah, just do it. There is no excuse. The only excuse are the ones that you make up yourself.
I agree, yes. If you want to do something, I believe if you really want to do it, you'll make it happen. You'll find a way. When I started doing music, I basically had nothing. I had like a, what would you call, like a Rock Band kind of microphone plugged into the back of my computer with like an adapter, and it was, I had nothing, but I like would splice cables together to make it plug into the PC, into the microphone input, so I could put sound in there. The first version of Reaper I had was free. It came with like some amp, well, they're all free technically, kind of. It came with an amp I got given for Christmas. And yeah, and all my old mixes are bad. That's fine, you're allowed to be bad. That's the main thing, you are allowed to be bad, and you can get better. People who follow me on YouTube, you'll know I redux my songs a lot because I like to, I feel like the song I wrote was okay, but the way, like, my singing was bad, or my playing was bad, or the mixing was bad, and it's like, well, I learned better, I can just do it again. There's nothing stopping you. So yeah, I believe you can do it, just do it.
Well, what Prince just said kind of throws me back to the years when I was recording my piano and guitars with my phone, but still tried to fit this into the tracks. But yeah, two important things I think are. Yeah, to start doing music or anything, art or anything you want, there's no need to be talented, because I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I would love to write music, to play piano, to do things." But I cannot because I don't have the talent, and this is wrong, because the talent is not something we get when we are born. None of us were born knowing how to do music, so it's just something that we learn and that we develop over time, just by doing and trying over and over again. So yeah, it's just if you want to do something, just go for it. and I had another thing in mind that I just forgot. Yeah, maybe it will come back.
Yeah. So like basically everything was already said. I want to add very important things that do not hesitate to try. Like try new techniques, try new instruments, invest in vocal studying if you are setting your mind on singing, and also no matter what instrument you set on, learn a little bit of singing yourself. It will help you a lot.
Just remember what I wanted to say. Well, the second point was just also it's very important to get feedback and also to accept critics and not taking them personally, because critics and feedbacks are the most precious things you can have to improve.
Phil, I actually agree with you as well, and I would like to extend as well. Definitely having a good and basic understanding of music theory as well is sometimes a little bit of a benefit when it comes to especially compositing music. You do not, though, have to go all the way in and learn fourths, eighths, and everything like that. As I said, it's really just the inspiration itself, and just trying something, throwing it at the wall, and really seeing what exactly happens for the most part. Now, with that being said, we are going to go ahead and once more open it up for Q&A. We have a lovely personnel down right here. If you would like to ask any questions, please start queuing up right here. In the meantime, while we get some people down there, let's turn up the silliness a little bit here. What's your guys' favorite on-stage moment that has happened?
I don't know if it's my favorite, but probably the funniest. It was my first ever DJ gig at LunaFest 2019, and everything was going well. The set was fine, but it was a 1.5-hour set, and I didn't have experience with like dancing and jumping yet, and I was very out of shape. So I had a cramp in my leg on the stage, and I basically dropped down the table because I couldn't stand anymore, and I pulled down the DJ controller so I could DJ on the floor, and no one actually noticed, so that was good. And yeah, that was funny, that was interesting. It has never happened again, luckily, and I hope it stays that way.
Well, I haven't stood on the stage really, but a very funny moment while producing. I made a track in a single day with Launch 6 called Yiftek, and it's just super silly. It goes all over the place. It's stupidly horny. But it's very funny. We had such a good time making that tune together in a Discord call. It's just really funny is what we came up with. It's like, okay, well, you do this. It's like, oh, but I could do that with that. It's like, okay, but what vocals do we want, and what do we want to base it around? It's like, oh, let's do it about that. It's like, are we sure that the community is okay with that? It's like, fuck it, let's do it. And then send it to Equinity, and Equinity was like, should we release this? Well, it's a fucking banger. Let's do it anyhow. So basically, that was super funny. Yeah.
Well, my favorite moment, yeah, that's a very difficult one because I think every moment is amazing. But if I have to choose a really funny one, I once performed, and This was at the time when I was still allowed to drink, so you could probably guess where this is going already. But I once said to my friends, you know, like, yeah, lock me out of Twitter so nothing goes wrong, you know. But I forgot to lock myself out of Discord. Yeah, and then some. Yeah, but yeah, you know, like I think every chance I get to be on the stage, you know, and every chance to be with the crowd, you know, I think that's awesome. That's yeah.
Funny thing about me performing is that when I'm here and usually performing with Prince, whatever, people give me free drinks. So I'm just chugging beer on stage. It's just the absurdity of being given free stuff to drink. It's like I bought all these tokens for nothing. I remember last year, the same kind of thing happened. I chugged a beer on stage, then someone tried to give me another one. I was like, I'm not doing it again, I'm not chugging it. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And this year I just did it with no question. It's just a funny thing to do, especially in Europe. In an American con, you'd never see that happen.
A bit of a deeper and more far extending answer to that question is the same reason why I'm doing conventions. The only time when it's like you see the people enjoying themselves. After every song, after every performance, people cheer, people sing, people dance, and yeah, like mosh pit is a dance. So that's all there is to it. I'm in it to entertain people. And that's like not really. I also have fun, of course. I have fun with it, but I do it for the audience. Audience enjoys themselves. That's the best time of the performance, of the con, everything. I'm done. Goodbye.
My favorite part is always whenever we're playing a song and the audience, they're singing the words, they know the words, and if they're even louder than us on the stage, which happens a lot. Yeah, that was so loud. It's amazing to the people from just all around the world will come and watch us play, and they even know all the words to the songs. It's one of the best feelings in the world. Like, I can't even describe it, but yeah, it makes me so happy. Thank you.
One funny moment was a very long time ago, back when I was performing classical music, and once at the end of a concert, I had to end with a little piece from Chopin. At that time I had a lot of troubles on stage, a lot of stress, I was panicking, and that time I had a complete blackout in the middle of the piece. But I still had to keep playing and end the piece. So I kind of improvised something. And so, like, then many people in the audience were like, this is because in classical music it's not acceptable to make a single wrong note. But one person came to me and was like, "Oh, that last piece was just amazing. I love contemporary things. It was so experimental. So, what is the artist?" And I was like, "Gee." Yeah, that was pretty funny. But one favorite moment on stage was this year at GalaCon on the community stage. I just came to play for 15 minutes, and it was after a long time not performing, and that's when I kind of defeated my fear of stage, and it felt really amazing. And also here was amazing because I also felt really well while performing. So.
So yeah, my favorite moment every performance is that when people sit down. Yeah, yeah. It's funny because like I think they started to do it at some point and they just continued to do it. But well, and I'm also happy that I made some people dance this time. Well, and a very funny accident that happened a long time ago. was when we were playing at a very, very small club. And then suddenly in the middle of our performance, all the electricity went down. But we just played through it because we were an acoustic band. And everyone were like, "Oh wow, such dedication! You managed to play even. You didn't even skip a beat. Like, why should I?" Yeah, that's like that.
Okay, we will go ahead with the first question.
All right, I'm Jordi. I had a question about language, because of course some of the you also write lyrics. What are the challenges in deciding what lyrics to use or what language to use? For example, Velvet, you also use different languages in some of your songs. So, what are the challenges behind that?
Well, I must admit that the challenge with the languages I know is to get the lyrics proofread by someone native. But when I deal with the languages that I know not that good or that I don't speak, like Belarusian, I don't speak Belarusian. Is to get the pronunciation right. Yeah, that's,
right.
that was.
Thank you.
That was.
I mean, I usually just write parody lyrics if I do, but I think from a logical standpoint, the biggest challenge is you are able to convey more emotions in your native language. That's just a thing. It's just like you used it for the rest of all of your life. And when you speak English, I mean, there is a level in English where you just sound natural, but still the most emotions you convey in the language you are the most used to, which is usually your native language. That, I would say, is a challenge.
Okay, next question.
Hi there. I will keep this brief because I am exhausted. Your performances last night on stage were unforgettable and I'm so incredibly glad to have been here. But a question to all the musicians. Looking back at music that you made a month ago, a year ago, 10 years ago, in which areas do you think that you have improved most? Be it guitar play, singing, production, anything really?
I have the mic side. Like I mentioned, I started 3 years ago, just really from nothing. I did not have any, I never learned an instrument before. I like music, but I didn't want to make it necessarily. And I just learned it like your usual thing, autodidactive. So I brought self-taught. And when someone blackmailed me into performing with someone, I had to, that was 1 year after I started, and it's like, oh, I need to get better quick. And then I had to make a choice. I could either say no, like I'm not confident with this, I'm not playing with him because I have fear of messing up. And I think that would have been the wrong choice because playing live, performing live is a different skill set than when you learn techniques, like when you learn slapping, tapping, all of the things you do. But you improve because you have to improve. You're getting used to the songs, you're getting used to standing. Like people who saw all the performances from us in the last 2 years, they probably notice the change from me standing, completely frozen, concentrating on what I'm doing. And now I'm pretty much more, it's more natural, yeah. Yeah, that's that.
So, what was the basic gist of your question?
Looking back at music from previous times that you've produced it, what do you think you have improved in most? So, singing, guitar play, or music, instrumental, or production? Which of such areas have you improved in most?
I think when it comes to live performances, I guess I've improved like in the vocal section because first time doing live vocals, I was not prepared for that at all. And eventually, it's something I got better at. The more I practiced, the more I, worked out how the voice works. just getting into some good habits like not drinking too much alcohol or eating too much. The more you do that for a show, the better you get in time.
Yeah, live performances, genuinely, I appreciate the answer, but in general, music production and previous songs that you have released as well, is there anything you can definitely see you have improved at? Of course, live is understandable, of course, because in experience you grow, but production of music and music you have released as well.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like over time my music production's got way better than it used to be. I'd say musically I haven't really changed that much because I've already like got all that muscle memory burnt in, but production-wise, it was a matter of learning how, like what makes a mix sound good, getting the right plugins, although plugins themselves aren't important. Just like even the stock plugins in your DAW will do the job. But you know, it's a matter of learning how to make a mix sound good, just getting rid of any areas that will make a mix sound bad. The more you learn, the better you get at it, basically. And I feel like that's where I've improved most, just mixes.
Thank you very much.
I also have an answer for you, if it's okay. Yeah. I think where I improved the most is undoubtedly, I think, my singing. I think, but that's my answer. I also wish to once again extend to the crowd and everyone. Listen, I would wish to quote one of my favorite Disney movies or Pixar. Not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. So that's. Yeah, Ratatouille, yeah.
Yeah, Mossel definitely improved a lot with his vocal work. I know a few years ago I had to auto-tune the crap out of him, and now it's barely necessary anymore. But definitely improving a lot.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I've improved mostly in my ears. My ears are my instrument, and the longer you do this for, the more your ears are trained to hear specific things, to filter it out, to make the sound tighter. And I think I've improved in that the most, and beside that, probably figuring out what the knobs on a generator does to make the sound that you want.
I can definitely agree with that. My ears, my hearing, hearing how to make my sound, my track sound good, like he said, but also there's a thing in EDM called loudness war. It's kind of bad, but you need to know how to make your tracks as loud as the other tracks to make them comparable, basically. And there's certain ways you need to mix your track and master your track to get it up to the same loudness level. And I've definitely improved that lately. And also just the general mixing and making it sound good, basically. Yep.
Well, basically everything. But mostly I learned to play harp. That's the biggest improvement that I had.
Well, I also improved pretty much everything in the last 3 years. Before that, I've been doing music for many years, knowing what was not sounding good and all, but I was also very lazy. I was like just thinking, it's too much effort to learn this and that. And then suddenly I thought, but if I want to make this happen, I need to learn things. And so I found a lot of online courses and books about orchestration, composition, mixing, mastering, and a lot of things. And so yeah, and I'm still improving at the moment. And I guess we are always improving as long as we practice and we do things. So yeah, it's a very interesting journey.
For me, with improving, I would say probably my singing improved a bunch. I was listening to Flynn, the person who drove me, and Connor here. He had some of my songs playing in his car, and I just listened to it. I was like, wow, my voice was so whiny. Why did I sound like this? Why did I think this was acceptable? So I think that improved, and my production. The composition of the music, I think, is roughly the same, and my guitar skills have probably actually gotten worse I don't practice the guitar enough. But yeah, that's about where it stands.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Just as a reminder, for time constraints, the Q&A line is closed. Go ahead. Yep, these last two.
Okay, so I've seen some musicians online who do not use instruments at all. They do everything in their DAW, the keyboard, and all that kind of stuff. As someone who's only dabbled in music, obviously I'm not entirely sure if I want to buy like an entire instrument, right? So does having, for example, guitars or harps or keyboards or whatever, is that more of a preference, or does that legitimately make a huge difference, right? And furthermore, how much of what you're doing is just messing around in your DAW with like your VSTs and stuff like that versus playing your actual instruments?
Real quick, can you repeat the first part of that question?
Basically, does having an actual physical instrument, is that more so a preference, or does that legitimately make a huge difference in like everything, how you play?
Well, to me, I don't have any instruments. Actually, I bought my first instrument last week, but I forgot the power supply in Arnhem, so I'm gonna have to pick that up. It's a synthesizer, but it's not necessary at all. I use everything on the DAW and I draw everything in. And I think for EDM, it might be smarter to invest in a CPU that has good single-core performance rather than an instrument, because you're gonna need the single-core performance for music production. That's probably one of the most important parts, and get something like an Audio-Technica M50X or M40X to start out with, so you have a good flat monitoring headphones, so you can get better at that.
Hello? Oh, yes. I would say it's preference. Some genres will expect you to have physical instruments, like a rock band. You would expect real drums or a real guitar and stuff, especially if you want to play on stage. But I'd say you don't need it. It's like learning. Some people are visual learners. Some people learn by doing. And sometimes it's easier to input notes manually. Sometimes people find it easier to just play it and record it. There are advantages to both ways and disadvantages. But I feel like it's preference. And what was the second part of the question?
Yes, I believe I asked for how much of what you're doing is actually playing your instrument versus messing around with VSTs, EQing, all that kind of stuff in your DAW.
Oh, okay. From instrument-wise, everything I play would be the guitars, bass, singing. I write the drums on a drum kit, but recording drums is hell. So I'd use a VST called Addicted Drums 2, which is, I have a heavily modified version because I've been using it for 10 years. But yeah, the drums are VSTs, and then all the strings and synthesizers, all VSTs. Yeah.
I will be brief. Yes. But I am also very, very biased towards live instruments. I record everything live.
Well, I also come up with ideas always on the piano, and I always start making sketches on the piano before orchestrating them. So yeah, for me, and playing on having a real piano to play on is for me also makes a huge difference. Yeah. And but the other thing is also, since I write orchestral music mostly digitally, I also need a very beefy computer to to handle all the projects with all the instruments. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Hi, so I know this is a very depressing thought, but in a world where this MLP fandom and bronies didn't exist, how different do you think your music careers will be at this point?
I probably wouldn't have one, honestly.
I think it would be everywhere where it is now. Because music is my life, I cannot just stop making music, and no matter Fandom or not. It's just what it is.
Well, for me, it's the same. I cannot do anything else than music. So, well, before being in the Brony fandom, I was having several personal projects that I gave up then. But also, besides the Brony community, I'm working as a composer for video games. So I think if I wasn't in the Brony community, I would be in the video game industry. But I'm in both, and for me, it's just it's perfect.
Okay, so I imagine if I didn't have the fandom, I'd probably be I'd either be working in a chip shop or I'd be one of those guitar YouTubers that review gear, like Andrew Boehner. They just write riffs and occasionally get to play guitar that some company sends them, like one of those. Or maybe I'd just do covers.
For me, I wouldn't be where I would be right now without the fandom, because it's a super talented community of a lot of musicians within the fandom. They are all super helpful, super kind, and I learned a lot from them, and I wouldn't have learned that without them. Without the furries, without the bronies, I wouldn't be where I am right now. It's quite funny because of the amount of people that I find in random communities, furries and bronies, that are in the artistic scene. It's amazing. It's such a creative community, and I couldn't do it without them, for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
Okay, so the question was, where would you be without the fandom, or like? Okay. Whew. So,
musically wise too.
Musically wise too. Okay. Well, I think, to be honest, I think I'd be somewhat okay. I work as a forest ranger, so so you know, I think I would be somewhat fine. But without the music, wow, it's. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually pretty scary to think about. You know, where would I be without this fandom? Wow. Yeah, but hey, for whatever it means, we are here and we still here. You know, Brony for life, man. Of course.
I can only agree on what everyone said, basically. So I wouldn't be here without the fandom. I mean, musically wise. What he said about all the helpful artists that can get you started and stuff would be way harder without the fandom.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thank you for your question. All right, and with that in mind, we will go ahead and do any closing remarks from any of y'all. Last words.
Buy my shirts.
Yeah. Hello, and well, thanks to everyone for coming to the convention. Thanks for having me, and thank you everyone for me being on stage with these wonderful people. Yeah, I think that's all.
And yay.
You don't want to say anything else, just like self-plug shamelessly. Say thank you for having me.
Oh, well, of course. I was going to do that at the closing ceremony. What the
Yeah, but the question is now. Okay. Thank you. Love you. Good boy.
Got a Misty song coming out hopefully this month, and an acoustic EP. Go stream those when they're out. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you for coming out. Goodbye.
This music panel is sponsored by Rady Shady, or? Yes.
Public shilling.
I also just want to say thanks for all the support. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here yesterday at the music events, and I hope to see you next year, hopefully.
shout out to Nugget. Thanks for hosting, man. Applause, please. Also follow me on SoundCloud.
Well, the final things I gotta say is You Got Me, I Got Us Part 3, it's on the way. And with that, I would like to say, if you feel like giving up, remember why you started. Also very important. And yeah, man, it's thank you for having us. As far as I'm concerned, you guys are the true heroes of the, you know, you are the people that make this possible. Thank you.
That's true.
You are
it's
amazing.
all you. Just a bit of us, but all you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, one more time, give a round of applause for the amazing musicians up here. And thank you all for coming out to the panel. Have a great rest of your time here at PonyCon Holland.